Our first speaker is a gentleman who has been free again for just over a year. He was a hostage in Venezuela for 5 years, part of what is known as the Citgo Six, captured by terrorists and in league with dictators and held hostage because of money and terrorism and evil. And he is going to be our first speaker on tolerance. I'm so honored to have him, the author of From Hero to Villain, The True Story of the Citgo Six. Please help me welcome my relatively new friend, Jose Angel Pereira Ruimwyk. Welcome, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Jeff, for that wonderful introduction. Well, for the audience that doesn't know me, my name is Jose Pereira. I'm going to say, not a long name, I'm going to say the short name, Jose Pereira. And as Jeff it said, I was one of the so-called Citgo Six. And maybe if you're not aware, we were 6 American executives that worked with Citgo Petroleum, and that in 2017 went through a situation that I'm going to explain now. But I want to begin my speech talking about, because for me it's an honor to be opening this event. As Jeff said, we had yesterday a wonderful conversation. And by the way, Jeff, after your call, I talked with the lady was with you. We had yesterday a long conversation, because really she's doing one wonderful thing too. And talking about tolerance, when Jeff told me about this, I said, yeah, I want to be there, because one of the situations that happened to us was because of the intolerance that is happening today in the world. And today being the day of the tolerance that I was researching, the UNESCO put this day in 26. So it was like 17 years ago that was institutionalized this the Tolerance Day, and the thing is going to worse, because the world is evolving with a lot of intolerance. So my speech that I always are doing resonates a lot with this situation, because our situation happened in 2017, and I'm going to explain here. We were executive. I did a long career in the oil and gas, and during my career, 35-year career in the oil and gas. By the way, I'm a third and a fourth generation of oil and gas workers in my family, because my son also is, my daughter, my mother, my father, my wife, my grandfather, my grandmother. So we have been all my family has been oil workers. We are Venezuelan born. Venezuela was in decades ago one of the wealthiest countries of Latin America, because it has a lot of petroleum. But today, unfortunately, the situation there has becoming a total mess, because the regime, as Jeff said, that is there has more than 2 decades there, and has been, the situation has really been going bad. Today, Venezuela has a big diaspora all over the world, more than 7 million people. So when this situation to me happened, it was in 2017. It happened in November 2017. I was, as I said, the CEO of this company, and I 1 month before my situation, I did a travel to Caracas, because my boss was in Caracas. Citgo is an American company, but the owner is PDVSA, that is a Venezuelan owned company. So I flew to Caracas because I was planning to get retired. My plan was getting retired, because I was done 35 years. That thing was not going good there. And he accepted me to get retired. So what he told me is, do it in February. So we were talking about 4 months to get retired. I flew back to Houston, and when I was here in Houston, I received a call that there was going to be a summit that I needed to go and close it in the company. And I said, okay, it's going to be this Sunday. I'm going to go with my wife. And normally in this type of summit, there is always a motivational speaker that they bring. And I asked, who was going to be the motivational speaker. And they said there was going to be the Captain Phillips, the guy that was the real Captain Phillips of the movie that Tom Hanks did. So that guy was the speaker. Today he's a speaker. And he has a speech called Navigating the Turbulent Waters. And when he finished his speech talking about the situation he went through being hosted with the Somali pirates, I told him, wow, your story is remarkable. And the guy told me that a human being is inside in their inner circle, inner force that comes from God, that everybody has it, but normally we don't use it. And that caught my attention, and I always was thinking on that. 1 month later, I was in the movie with my wife, and I received a call to go to a trip to Caracas. A last minute call. I was making my plan to get retired, as I said, and was a call that, well, okay, it was a budget call. I had to go do a presentation. I told my wife, I'm going to go and come tomorrow. So we're done. Well, nothing of that never happened. Nothing of that never happened. When I flew to Caracas, it was a settlement because all that situation that was going in Venezuela and the U.S. Government by that time was really beating hard that regime and was imposing a lot of sanctions. And we inadvertently get caught in the middle of that situation and become the political pawns of the relation between Venezuela and the U.S. Me and my 5 top executives, that were my colleagues, we were 6 guys, and that's why the press put us like a brand, and we became the Citgo 6. That was a nightmare of 5 years that we went there because they took us to do leverage with the U.S. government, and then at the beginning, the situation was really, really bad for us. We were put in a dungeon, in a military basement, 3 floors down, with all the most unimaginable situation, and I was totally isolated. I began to have health issues. I suffered pneumonia. I got bronchitis. I got scabies. I went through a lot of situations, and we began to even starve to death because we didn't have food. I lost 100 pounds. So at some point, the relation went so bad that they expelled a U.S. ambassador. After I came back, I figured out that he tried to visit us like 11 times, and he finally was expelled from Venezuela. And then the situation went really bad for us because we were totally left behind. And our family was fighting, and we didn't know that. We didn't know that. So when that happened, we finally decided to begin to try to manage the situation, and we received a visit of the UN. When that visit came, they allow us to begin to have food. So when we began to have food, we decided to take like a risk, and we began to smuggle a letter with my wife. And then we begin to receive smuggle those letters with my wife. I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna put it there. One of the I found these days that the first letter I began to smuggle was December 30, 2018, 1 year after I was in captivity. 1 year after I wrote my first letter, that I found it yesterday, that letter. I began to smuggle, and my wife began to reply to me, and we began to do it like a back and forward during 3 years, and for us became like my testament, my memoir, that when I came back was like 1,000 letters that my wife and I had written, and that became today what is my book. So today I really, when I came back, because after hard negotiations, 1 year before we came back, an ambassador or a special office that is here in the U.S. called the Special Presidential Office for the Hostage Affairs went and flew to visit us. When that happened, at that point, I was having a good communication with my wife because of the letters, and the relation began to evolve, and we were having more communication by phone, and we were reading books. So I received a book. I could read a book there from a guy that was a survivor of the concentration camp in World War II called Viktor Frankl. The book is called Men in a Search of a Meaning. And when I read that book and heard, that guy was literally talking to me, saying that in the life, if you find your purpose, you can survive any ordeal with the grace of God. And I realized that I needed to come back in one piece to my family. We went to a survivor mode. So when the negotiation among us 1 year before a release became, we were really with a boost of hope, with a boost of faith. And when I came back in October 1st, 1 year ago, I learned that our situation was not unique. There was a lot of Americans going through this situation. So we began to strongly advocate through the hostage community that today I'm one of the most vocal voices here in the U.S. talking about this. This is something that is called the hostage diplomacy. And it's something that really is affecting a lot of Americans. And by the way, the situation that today is happening in the Middle East has raised this exponentially. So I found that my situation, the way we survived it, and because we went to trauma center and began to investigate what we did, because we came really in one piece. And I found that our situation was not unique, but we found a pattern how you can survive ordeals in your life. And that's why I decided to create a coaching program based on that. My coaching program is called Life Pills for a Survivor Guide, and it's basically based on the techniques, the common sense we use during our stage being hostage. And I'm going to name it your life. The first thing is that your adversity will never announce. You will never announce when the adversity is going to you. When that happens, the first reaction to you is denied the adversity. After that, in the second stage is that you will accept that you're going through the adversity. At that point, you need to be focused on the situation. You need to really be calm and focused in the situation and see what's going through you. Then you have a choice. At that point, you have a choice. You can go in the negative way or you can go in the positive way. In my case, I decided to go in the positive way because it had to be to having the positive mindset. I am a guy that always was a positive guy. So I decided to overcome this in a very positive way. So being positive in any adversity is the second thing that is important that you do. The third thing is that you need to get connected to your loved ones. The way I did it with my wife, with the letters, the smuggling letter during 3 years, that was a game changer for me because I could get connected to her. I knew what was going on. I knew they were really fighting hard to get us back. I knew about all these hostage situations that was going here in the U.S. I knew that was created a special presidential office that was taking care of us. I knew that they were having negotiations and going to the Congress, they were going to the White House, they were doing a lot of things to bring us back. They had created a campaign called the Bring Our Family Home Campaign, 20 families of Americans. So we were aware of all that was happening. So stick to your loved one is so important in your adversity because never take your adversity alone. You need your support of the people that love you. The fourth thing is that you need to keep your mental and physical health. So we begin to do a lot of exercise, yoga, meditations. We were trying to even have fun. We did with paper some kind of dominoes. So we begin to manage our situation one day at a time, on a daily basis. Thinking every, for me, was really a change of my physical and mental structure, because I was always planning years ahead, and I found that I need to be planning my day, living my one day on a time. The fourth, this is the fourth thing, and the fifth thing, I think, is the most important. You have to go back to your inner force and your spirituality. So that's why we did. We went back to our spirituality. We began to pray. We began to read the Bible, and that was our game changer. So today, I'm going to tell you, as a conclusion, any adversity in your life, you can survive it. That's the lesson that I have today for you. Any adversity, you can survive it. And the intolerance is part of that. Thank you very much for hearing me. Thank you very much.